And we're live. All right, welcome to this week's live stream. I hope everybody's doing good. And let's see if we can make this one the first stream where we are not having any difficulties. This is the fifth one. I think I am starting to get the gist of this, and I am excited for this one. For starters, before we get going with what we are talking about today, I want to let you know that I will be posting a link underneath this video where you guys can help me out a little bit. You can hop on a 30-minute call with me. And the idea there is that I'm going to ask you some questions. Okay, I need to get to know you a little bit better so I can tailor my upcoming swim course for triathletes better in case some of you guys want to eventually purchase this one and get better. I need some information from you guys, and I would very much love to talk to some of you. If you're worried that this might be in English, it will be either German or English, depending on what your native language is, and I'm fine doing both. And yeah, it's going to be around 15 minutes where I'm going to ask you questions, and then after this, you can feel free to ask me anything. We can have a little coaching for you, and this way we can both take something away from that. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get going. Today's topic is aerobic long swims for Ironman swimmers. And I think this is a very important topic. I think a lot of people are missing out on that, but we're going to get to the slides in just a second. Let's get going here. Again, I said the same thing last time, but some of you guys are showing up new. I need to introduce myself. My name is Jan Wolfgarten. I'm the founder of the Swimmazing University. I won international medals in pool and open water swimming. And before some of you run away, I'm not doing this to brag. I'm just doing this so you guys know that I know what I'm talking about and the information is at least halfway decent, okay? I broke 3 German records. I won 38 medals at German Nationals. I was an NCAA All-American back in the day. I swam for the Florida Gators, class of 2006. I coached Sebastian Kienle while in swimming alongside his coach Lubos Spilek from 2012 till 2015 when he won the Ironman World Championships in Kona. He posted the best swim of his life while he was with me there, by far, if I may say so. And I recently coached Andreas Waschburger to the world record in the English channel. And yeah, I built up many elite swimmers from youth to German elite and even international elite. And my idea here is to help you figure out distance freestyle swimming so that you can have a great Ironman swim in the near future. With that out of the way, we are going into today's topic. And this is what we covered so far. Today we're doing the aerobic long swims, session 5. What I forgot to mention, I will be doing 2 a week. This is going too slow for my taste. I will be going live twice a week from now on. And I'm probably going to look at Tuesday and Thursday night. So plan on, if you like this kind of stuff and you want to join me live, plan on being here Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. also, because I want to get through these 11 sessions a little bit faster. Because I think I just want to get this done. I think it's fun. I'm learning along the way, and I hope you guys can learn something also. Also, the chat is running. Oliver Clement says hi. Ollie, if that's really you, you're the man. I watched almost all of your swims at the World Championships. Fingers were crossed, but I guess the conditions were just not for our German team this year. I hope it's going to be better in the future. For those of you who don't know who Oliver Clement is, he was one of my athletes back in the day. He is now one of the very best open water swimmers in the entire world. He is already qualified for the Paris Olympic Games, and he was 3rd at last year's World Championships. One of my hot picks for an Olympic medal. My fingers are crossed for sure. Please say hi to everybody. And yeah, so with that being out of the way, what is an aerobic long swim? A long swim without rest, swim within your aerobic intensity zone. Who would have thought? Rocket science here today at my swim show. The lactate will be 1.5 to 3. The heart rate will be below 150. And we're working fat metabolism and it is the foundation of distance swimming. The last week we talked about aerobic interval training, which is very important for you to develop that speed at the aerobic and anaerobic threshold level. And the speed is good, but it's only good if you can actually maintain it. And if you want to go fast for a long period of time, you need to teach your body to swim at a high level for a long period of time. Okay, being fast is one thing, but being able to maintain it and being able to keep going for a long time is something that is overlooked with a lot of distance coaches and swimmers out there. Okay, it is very often the missing link in a bad distance freestyle performance. So my story, when I was swimming back in the day in Florida, I always swam the 1500 and I was doing great until the 800, and then it went and it exploded. And I think one thing that we were missing back in the day, I'm pretty sure that this is not the case anymore, but back in the day were those long swims at a high intensity. We were doing lots of distance sets, but we're not really doing those long straight swims at a high level. And yeah, like I said, lots of coaches and athletes do interval training, often too soft. So they're not going hard enough when they do that. They're not going it long enough, but they're doing it nonetheless. And unfortunately, this is only one piece of the puzzle. You know, I've seen it many, many times that, like I said, coaches and athletes, they do something like 2100s and they are going, whatever. They do their 1500 meter pace that they want to hit in the competition, and they're like 2 seconds faster, and they get all excited and they go to the competition. They swim and they have the same thing happen that used to happen to me back in the day. They look absolutely amazing till the 600, till the 700, and then it's all over. You can watch them fall apart. And I think one big piece of the puzzle is that they're missing these long swims. And yeah, think about an aerobic long swim like the foundation of a well-built house. Okay, your house can look absolutely amazing, stunning, great doors, great windows, great furniture, all of that stuff. If the wind starts blowing and it falls apart, it's all kind of meaningless. It needs to be built well from the ground up. Okay? So in other words, if you're preparing for a swimming competition and your aerobic interval sets and your test sets are amazing and you go there and you think you're going to do great, not so fast, my friends. You need to do the work also. Otherwise, you're probably in for a bad surprise. General thoughts. First of all, what are we going to get to this later? Yeah, general thoughts. Like, what is a long swim? So I think just so we get on the same picture, I think a long swim is, and I'm going to get to the questions in just a second. A long swim is, let's say the training session is 5K in total volume. The long swim should be at least 3.5K. So it should be very long. And ideally, the idea is that eventually you're going to build up to or even above your racing distance. So let's say you're an Ironman swimmer. I think you should be hitting aerobic long swims of 4K, maybe even 5K leading up to your race. So you're prepared. So your fat burning is working the right way. Your carbo storage is used to being, how do I say this? Stressed, or just that it's being used for like an hour and it doesn't fall apart. You need to have this information and you need to have this confidence when you go to the competition. And I prefer to do the long swims with equipment, so either pulling or with fins. We're going to get to that in a second, but I make differences with my athletes depending on how they swim freestyle. But like I said, we're going to get to that in a second. And recently, I also like splitting that kind of stuff. By splitting, I mean, let's say I want to cover a 5K aerobic long swim. I recently started to do 3K, and then the last K, I split it up in, let's say, 2100s with short rest. So this way you have a long swim, and to break it up and make it a little bit easier on your head, and also to get the quality a little bit higher, you finish up with maybe 2100s with a very tight interval. I found that to be working really well also. I generally like to finish with speed. This doesn't mean that this is a speed training session, but something like 450s with 15 meter max is enough just to get you out of this sluggish groove after that long swim. A few short sprint bursts don't hurt. If anything, they're good for your recovery because they flush out the whole system one more time. And then finally, you should refuel immediately because you're going to use up lots, maybe even all of your carbs that you have stored in your muscles. With those sets, these long swims, it can happen, and maybe it should even happen from time to time, that you're going a little bit too far. Meaning that you're going to get a, what is that called in English, when you get shaky and your storage is empty, that kind of stuff. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. General thoughts continued. How hard should these long swims be? Hard. Back in the day, when we used to do this stuff in Würzburg, we used to almost race each other. So we used to swim, I don't know, like a normal long set was like 5, 6, 7K, but went all the way up to 12K. And it started out somewhat controlled, but at the end of the day, it was usually a 6 or 7K pull race. So with that being said, if we were to be tested with our lactate levels after this, I'm sure nobody would have been above 2.5. That's the good thing. If you use pulling or kicking with fins for a long period of time, it's very hard to go too hard. It is hard while you swim it, but the overall stress on your body, since you have a pull buoy and you're riding a little bit higher and you're only using your arms, also not quite as stressful for your heart. It's not that bad. So you can go pretty hard without killing yourself. And again, I think these long swims are being done by yeah. Ollie's saying that 100-100s were a little bit too hard. That's a funny story. That was, when was that? 2020 maybe? We did 100-100s with a swim team in Wiesbaden. We did it together. And Ollie was an up-and-coming, very young distance guy. And he was looking a little bit tired already. And I got a little bit excited on the pool deck. And was like, now you got to go. Now you really have to go. Leave it all out there. And he was just looking at me like, and he had nothing left, only kicking with his legs. And then the poor guy couldn't get up for, I don't even know, 30 minutes or so. I was very close to calling an ambulance. But yeah, you can see it worked out just fine with the young man. Now he's one of the best. And yeah, that being said, where was I? Breaking my concentration. But it's cool that you're watching. Why not ask a couple of questions? The Calendly link is locked to the owner. Fantastic. Awesome. Now I thought I was doing great and I was not having technical difficulties, but apparently something is up again. I need to check on my Calendly link. I will do so. My bad. I'm going to correct it and post it again once the video is done. Budweiser is asking if the 100-100s were on 120 leadoff. Yes, they were. 120 best average. As fast as you can go. These kids were going 104, 105. And if you ask Ollie today, they are much faster and they're going on a better interval. I've heard stories with him and Florian Wellbrock where they're going significantly quicker now. They're the big boys now. Big boy league. Much better. And Aligun ist asking, ich habe mich heute gefragt, wann der Livestream der Woche ist. Gut, dass ich gerade noch die Story gesehen habe. Alright. He or she, I don't know if Aligun, if you're a boy or a girl. I'm going to assume you're a boy, since I mostly have boys watching. Yeah, so he's saying he's happy. He wasn't sure if the live stream is going on, but he saw my Instagram story. Very good. Glad this is working out. And I'm actually starting to enjoy this. I'm getting a little bit better, at least I think so. And we have a little bit more engagement with 17 people. Not bad. It's a lot. I think that's doubled from last time. And yeah, we're getting better together. And yeah, where was I? Yeah, again, I think athletes and coaches are being too soft. Like I said, when we used to do this back in the day, and when my athletes do this usually ends up in a race. You know, I'm also still coaching Andreas Waschburger to this day. My man is now 37 years old, and he is still going hard, and he's still doing this once a week. And cool story for him. Like I said, he broke the world record in the English Channel this summer. His longest aerobic long swim this year. I almost felt bad when we did it, but he did a 30K. 30K on a Saturday aerobic long swim. We have a little rabbit in Saarbrücken on the bottom of the pool. where you can set the pace and you can just follow the red dot on the bottom of the pool. He set the pace at 1:12 and followed it for 6 hours. It was a tough day. But also, again, boys and girls, it did pay off. He broke the world record by 10 minutes. He felt great from start to finish. And like I said, I can only encourage you guys to implement this in your training as well. And as always, this is just my opinion and my experience. If somebody gets offended because there's a guy sitting there pretending like he knows everything, I don't know everything. I think I know a lot, but certainly not everything. And these are just my opinion and my experience. And I hope I can help you with that. Okay, what do we need to keep in mind? You need to keep in mind that these are solid training sessions. What I mean by that, this is not an easy training session. This is not something where you go to the pool and you do the session and you can expect to go really hard the next day or maybe really hard even the same day. These are generally things where distance athletes tend to go and even enjoy going to their limits. Okay, keep that in mind. It's not easy. I think you should do them weekly unless you do short rest training as well. We're going to cover short rest in, let me see, since we're doing 2 a week now, in 2 weeks from now. And I'm going to explain to you what that is then. But if you do that, this is pretty similar. Not quite, but pretty similar. And if you do one, you can do both, but you don't necessarily need to do both. Okay? But for now, you have to be patient until I explain to you what that is. Then again, you should build the distance until you go over competition distance. The 12 kilometer in parentheses is what the longest that I did back in the day. Long time ago, but yeah, like I said, you heard Ollie, he was doing 100 100s, and I remember letting him swim 9 times 1500 in one training session. So also very, very long stuff. And from my experience, I don't really know any athlete that I coached who did not benefit from that. And obviously, for the smart guys out there, I'm not having my sprinters do that. But my distance guys, even the middle distance guys, everybody is responding really, really well to that kind of stuff. That being said, don't go crazy. If you have swum 3K sessions up to this point, don't go to the pool tomorrow and do a 5K long swim. It's not going to end well for you. Okay, use your mind and build it up slowly. Okay, and now I mentioned to this earlier that I like to differentiate between my swimmers every now and then. I think if you're a coach, you should think about your swimmer, how they swim. And if you are a swimmer, you should think about yourself. What I mean by that is if you are a swimmer who is working mostly from your upper body, so somebody who's a very strong puller, for example, Thomas Lurz used to be somebody like that. I think it makes a lot more sense to have people like that pull with a pull buoy. Okay. If you have somebody who is a 6-speed kicker, okay, Ollie, I don't know if he's still in the stream, but he was one of those guys. I think with people like that, it makes sense to mix it up and have them do the long swim with fins every now and then. Because that's what they usually do when they swim. They like to use their legs, and I think fins are also a great tool to use in your aerobic long swims. Like I said in the beginning, I'm not a great fan of doing them without equipment because it is significantly harder if you don't use any equipment. It's going to be more stress on your cardiac system, on your heart, basically on your heart rate. It's going to be higher. And yeah, since you're generally riding lower in the water, it's also going to be taking longer to recover. Plan the long swim accordingly, according to your needs. And the goal is always to empty the carb tank. Not once we approach the competition and we enter the tapering zone, but leading up to that, when you're building, you should at least challenge yourself with the distance. Shouldn't be easy. Okay, it should be a volume that challenges your body. And like I said, if every now and then you're starting to fail, like you can feel you're getting shaky, then it's not the worst thing in the world. It shouldn't happen every time, but it can happen every now and then. I think then you're on the right track. Okay, here's a sample training plan from This is actually a training plan from the 16-week course that I'm currently building. And this is what this looks like in that program. So it's 100 warm-up. Then we do a long warm-up with 200 fins, 75 free, 25 backstroke, rest 45 seconds, plus 4 times 50 with 20 seconds rest, 1 time zipper. That's a technical drill, zipper drill. Probably find that on YouTube. And then 1 time 25 water polo, 70%, 25 easy. That's a little bit of a preset where you're getting ready to swim fast afterwards. Do that two times. And then the long swim here you can see is a straight 3000 pull, 1500 at 60%, 1000 at 70%, and 500 at 80%. So you're building throughout that distance and you're finishing strong. And overall the stress is not too high. You're finishing off with a strong 500, but the first 1500 should be fairly controlled. And then in the beginning I said it doesn't hurt to finish with some speed work, 850s, 1 time backstroke easy, and then 1 time 10 streamline kick max, 10 swim max, 30 easy, 100 loosen, 4400. Like I said, this is a training session from the 16-week course that I'm currently building for you Ironman athletes out there. This is week 13. So we're almost at peak volume. Goes all the way up to 5K eventually, but 4.4 we build up all the way from 2.5 to now 4.4 within 13 weeks. So far the feedback from the athletes is great. We have people who already dropped 25 seconds in the 400 meter test within 8 weeks of that program. And yeah, all kinds of good stuff is happening. So soon it's going to be available. Just keep that in mind. Stay tuned. Okay, but this is a good plan if you want to swim this tomorrow. It's one that you could use. Tobias says, what's up? Which Tobias is this? Tobias aus Frankfurt? Frankfurt Tobias? If so, I have something for you. If this is the Tobias from Frankfurt, check this out. That's right. That's right. I'm supporting my favorite soccer team underneath, close to my heart. For those international people watching, if you are here, this is a jersey from Eintracht Frankfurt. I was born in Frankfurt and it's my favorite soccer team. Okay, that being said, recovery. This is almost the same as last week's slide. You should always think about recovery. Basically no-brainer. Aerobic long swims are crucial because you tend to empty your carb storages a lot. Jawohl. And you should have a recovery drink ready to refuel your glycogen storage as soon as you finish your training session. Do so within 30 minutes of your training session. Better, even faster. Okay, and this is basically all I have for you. So now you can post some questions. This week we were pretty quick, 23 minutes, not bad. And yeah, like I said, I'm starting to enjoy this. I think this is becoming a lot more natural. And I'm kind of excited what this is going to be like in like a year from now. But for now, it's getting better. And we're also having more people, which is really cool. I mean, those 20 people watching right now, thank you so much for being here. It's a lot cooler if I don't have the feeling that I'm talking to myself. So thanks for taking the time and watching me here. And if you have questions, I'm doing my best to answer them. What would you use such a drink? You mean as such a drink? A very easy thing you can do is you can go to a supermarket. In Germany, Lidl has it, Aldi has it, Tegut has it. Basically, you buy chocolate milk. Okay, chocolate milk is a very good recovery drink. Back in the day, when I was still swimming, the University of Michigan did a test with their athletes back when Michael Phelps was swimming there. And they compared just regular supermarket chocolate milk to those fancy recovery drinks made by Power Bar and back in the day, Gatorade and all that. And the chocolate milk was just as good, if not even better than those. Okay, sorry Power Bar and all those. Maybe you improved by then, but that was what they found out back in the day. So very easy. You can put that stuff into your backpack. I don't even think it needs to be cooled because generally these things are fine without being cooled and they don't turn bad. And there you have a very affordable, quick recovery shake ready to go. So that works really, really good. But good question. That's what I would do. I mean, that's very easy. Basically, I mean, what are we looking for? We're looking for a mix from sugars and protein. You should not just use sugars. I mean, that would do okay to refuel your glycogen storages, obviously, but you are also going to have a little bit of damage to your muscles, and your body needs protein and amino acids to repair those. So it should always be a mix of sugar and protein, ideally. Okay, the fat, I don't know, obviously there's a little bit of fat in there also, but at which stage can you start with long swims if you're a beginner? With me, the beginners basically start immediately. I mean, if you're a beginner and you're starting to swim freestyle with me and you're training freestyle, you will have a long swim in there basically probably in the first week. But I mean, the long swim is not going to be maybe as sexy as you might imagine. Your long swim would probably be like a 600 pull with a snorkel. 600 pull buoy and pull kick and snorkel. Why snorkel? Because lots of beginners struggle with coordination with their breath. So from my past experience, if you give a person a snorkel and a pull kick, they can swim freestyle basically on day one. And generally they enjoy that. Feels good to swim freestyle. And yeah, they tend to do fine with long swims. I mean, usually like 400 meters, 300, 600, depends. If you go and get a snorkel, get a nose clip also. Because again, from past experience, people who are just starting out generally have problems with water shooting up their nose when they use a snorkel. Okay, but good questions. If you have any more, I'm going to be here for, let's say I'm going to be here for like 5 more minutes. Unless you guys go crazy. If you post a lot of questions, I'm going to be here a little bit longer. If you have the feeling that I use too much snorkel, now I have the feeling that I use too much snorkel. Now I have the problem to swim longer without it. Yes. I mean, eventually it's time to drop the snorkel. But again, it's important then, once you get rid of the snorkel, it's important that you start out with short distances. To all the beginners out there, even though this kind of stuff I'm talking about is not really tailored to you right now, I'm going to help you out anyways. If you begin and you drop the snorkel, you should do lots of very small intervals, 25s, 50s, and then rest. As a matter of fact, you should only do straight swims with a snorkel and with equipment. Because as a beginner, if you do long and straight swims and you don't have any idea about your technique yet and you're not stable with your technique, you should only do short distances, rest, catch your breath, refocus, and go again, so that you don't repeat mistakes over and over and get them to be automatic in your brain. Budweiser is asking, Ironman have to start faster than the average split. Do they have to train sprints? Absolutely not. I mean, it doesn't hurt to do a sprint. Like if you just saw the training plan here, sprinting for distance people is this kind of stuff. In the end, I keep saying this over and over. I see lots of triathlon training plans that warm up and they do 30 minutes of technical drills that are usually executed like shit. Sorry, I don't want to offend anybody, but that's at least what I've seen so far. And then they do another 15 minutes of sprints, and then they're already 50 minutes in the pool and they haven't done anything in training what makes them better as a distance swimmer. Now, yes, you could argue the drills make me better as a distance swimmer because I improve my technique, blah, 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 blah. Maybe. Okay, I'm not a great fan of technical drills if they take up more than, I would say, 10-15% of your practice. That's enough. You should be mindful when you swim and think about what you do when you swim. You can do drills, absolutely, but I think they should be implemented in your training. And yeah, those are, again, just my experience, just what I think, my opinion. I'm not saying I have all the knowledge. That's just what has worked with me in the past, and it worked pretty well. So the answer is don't do too many sprints. Do sprints like this in the end and you're going to be just fine. Focus on the basics here. Focus on aerobic interval training, aerobic long swims, strength, short rest sets, lactate, threshold sets. This is what you need to do and you're going to be good. Then another question from Tribo. Wie veränderst du die Goal Pace durch die Zuhilfnahme von Flossen? Normale Pace 1,30, mit Flossen dann zum Beispiel 1,25 ab. Okay, I'm going to translate this to English. He's basically asking how does the usage of fins change the pace of your or change your normal swimming pace? How much are you going to be faster? And the question is tricky to answer because some people, let's go back to the example that I used in the beginning. For example, Thomas Lurz, when we used to swim, used to kick my ass all day, every day in pulling sets. Every day. Unless we did very short sets with big paddles, then I was good. But just with a buoy, he was always better than me. On the other hand, when we used fins, it was the other way around. I beat him almost always. So you can see that some people like to use their legs a little bit more and some others like to use the upper body a little bit more. So long story short, some people benefit more from using fins than others. So it's not something that I can answer for everybody. What I can answer is that it doesn't really matter. You should use the intensities that are within your training plan, and it doesn't really matter if you have fins or not. If it says swim at 70%, so from a scale from 1 to 10, you're at a 7, just use your feeling. If a 10 is lights out, go a little bit easier and do this, try just as hard without fins as if you have fins on. Shouldn't really make a difference. Of course, you're going to be faster, but how much faster? Who really cares? As long as you keep your heart rate and your intensity in the same where it needs to be, you're all good. Maxter says, good video. Thank you very much. Florian is giving a applause. Thank you very much. Florian, by the way, also a guy who's very much improving right now within our Swimazing membership. Basically crushing every 400 meter test he's doing on a monthly basis. And yeah, things are good. Things are good right now. Things are good. Okay, so I hope I could help you with some of the questions. I'm going to stay a few minutes extra and then we're going to call it a video and we're going to talk it to each other again on Tuesday. One video that I really want to do, I mean, now that I think about that, Ollie was watching again. When I was watching the Open Water World Championships, one thing that really stood out to me is I get the question all the time at what changes if the conditions are really wavy? Are we going to change our technique? And the reality is, when you watch these world-class athletes perform at the World Championships, they swim the same stroke rates, maybe 1 or 2 higher, but insignificant changes, and they swim the same technique when it's choppy as when there are no waves. Same exact stuff. It's not going to feel the same. Don't get me wrong. If you ask them, it's going to feel like a completely different thing. But they don't all of the sudden, if they're normally swimming 6-speed kick, they don't put their stroke rate in half and they stop kicking. It's going to be the same technique. But I think it's a great thing to actually do a YouTube video on. And yeah, I'm gonna try to do that in the near future. So this question gets clarified once and for all. Ich halte mich mal weiter mit den Anfängerfragen zurück, war aber sehr aufschlussreich. Hey, you can ask whatever you like, Aligun. Anytime. Anytime. Whatever. If nobody's asking anything, I'm happy to answer whatever questions are posted. If anything, I'm very happy that somebody's posting at all. So doing me a favor by asking questions. Okay, another one. Wäre diese Session zum Ende der Vorbereitung, also kurz vor dem Wettkampf, dann ohne Flossen und Pullbuoy, die Belastung im Race zu simulieren? The question is, would it make sense to do this session once you approach the main competition without fins or pullbuoy to further simulate the race? I don't know. I think what you can do is you can go to the closer you get to your Ironman race. I think it actually becomes pretty clever to do the aerobic long swims in open water with your wetsuit. I think a wetsuit will also have a similar effect of making your aerobic long swim easier. It's easier to swim with a wetsuit than without. So it also has a lifting, a buoyancy effect. And I think that's a clever thing to do, that you substitute it by going into open water and doing your long swims there. I think that's a good thing. But other than that, I would not do my athletes, like Vashi, for example, Waschburger, Andreas, he is doing that, pulling all the way leading up to the competition. To simulate the race and the competition, we do other things. Those would be different things again. At what level would you suggest to measure lactate acid? I personally don't measure lactate acid at all. I don't know. I don't see that much of a benefit. There are some coaches out there who love doing it. There are others. I know, for example, University of Florida, which in my opinion is the best swim address in the world, is not doing any of that stuff. The original saying from Coach Nesty and Coach Troy is always, if your back is red and your lips are purple, I know you're working hard enough. And I think we have a tendency in Germany to measure and analyze ourselves to death. And hey, if that's your approach and you're successful with it, be my guest. It's just not mine. I don't think you need to do it. I personally don't want to do it. I would lose my focus. I rather watch the athletes swim than being all busy with poking people's ears, getting blood out and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know. All I can say is I did take lactate once here in Saarbrücken. And when we took it out, I was guessing the lactate acid of the athlete that we did it with, and I was within 0.2 of what he actually had. I think he had 4.6 and I was guessing he was at 4.8. So I wasn't way off. So I think I have a pretty good feeling for it. But yeah, I've also been doing this stuff for like, I don't know, probably 22 years now. 12 of that as an athlete and 10 as a coach. So I think I'm doing okay without. And yeah, I don't know. If you want to, long story short, I don't think you need it. The Kelly link does not work at the moment. It's currently unavailable. Yes, I heard that. I'm going to check on that. That's my mistake. Something is wrong there. I'm going to fix that once we're done with our live stream. Okay, but I have a lot more energy now. You guys helped me out a lot. I was really tired before the stream. I got up at 4:45 in the morning. I was pretty much out on the road until now. And I was about to pass out, but now I'm full of energy. So I think you guys passed some of your energy to me. So thanks for that. And thanks for taking part in the stream. This was a lot of fun. And yeah, I really cannot wait to the next one. So Tuesday at 9:30 we're gonna go again. Next Thursday is gonna be tricky. Why is this gonna be tricky? Because my wife is going to be driving to Munich and I'm going to have my middle-aged son who is 4 years old with me alone. And we're gonna do our best. Let's put it this way. We're gonna do our best and hope everything's gonna be fine, but we will see. But we're not gonna break our habit. I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna try my best. And if it works, it works. And if it does, it doesn't. Then it's at least gonna be entertaining. Okay, that being said, thanks everybody for being here. Once again, means a lot to me. It makes this whole thing a lot more interesting. And I hope I could help some of you guys. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next one. Okay, all the best. Have a great evening and talk next week.